we kind of sucked. We didn't sound good.
Yes, that's all true. What's up? It's We Came as Romans, and we're going to be going behind our tracks.
Black Hole was one of the last songs that we wrote the last time we were in the studio completing our new record. We wrote it just about the anxiety dealing with any situation where you feel, trapped, immobile, just weight undescribably coming down on you. That's something that we all went through a lot, dealing with the loss of Kyle, our singer. Every song we were writing was about how we were dealing with that loss. A big part of grief is those feelings that you don't know where they come from. They might not even have a reason, but they're there, and you have to figure out how to deal with that and live with that and move forward.
Oh, man. That's a curveball for sure.
We did that one together, you and me.
Yeah, I remember sitting outside your dad's house on his car and trying to piece the lyrics together.
Yep. You wrote down a few lines in like a notebook and you're like, are these cool? And I remember reading them and I was like, For We Are Nothing Without Brotherhood. And I was just like, light bulb in my head. This is everything that we are as a band. That was kind of our thing back then.
Yeah.
We were just the tightest knit group of best friends trying to make a positive difference. And we were a small band and we kind of sucked. We didn't sound good.
Yes, that's all true.
We always thought that the most important thing was just about what we were saying on stage, and Dave came out with like some of those lyrics and I was just like, we need to put this out there because like this is our entire mentality of whether or not we succeed as a band is going to be based on like these words and what we truly believe.
We used our drummer's graduation money to pay for recording that EP.
We drove down to Indiana to do it. It was like 6-8 hours something.
Yeah. We slept in the van every night.
Yep. And then we recorded 4 songs on that EP. And on the drive home, we just listened to our own EP for like 6-7 hours because we were just so proud of it. And we were just like, this is what we're about.
I remember we were in the studio with Joey Sturgis and we were like, we need to make this breakdown just so epic. And if you've seen the movie Batman where it really builds up and then it just kind of like, stack this. Before you know it, it's like all the files of just symphony. And then we were like, this is a really cool, fun sound. So we just kind of kept capitalizing on it.
Yeah. And we were like all pretty much fresh out of high school, and I was in band all through high school, so I was like, let's put in French horns, and we're just like saying to put in stuff, and Joey's like, I put in a trombone. I was like, I played trombone. Like, I remember building that and just being so young and new and not understanding what we were doing.
Yeah, it seems like those early days are like, as hard as they were, they're some of the most memorable moments that I've had in the band. They always stick out.
Yep. Yeah.
When we were recording the Tracing Back Roots record with John Feldman, we wanted to take a little more melodic approach to the record, which is one of the reasons why we went with John Feldman. The guy's king of melodies, and one of the ideas was to bring me into the singing a little more. I had a history with singing. I used to sing in my Christian pop punk band. Woo! It was awesome.
Forever Saved.
Yeah, Forever Saved. Check them out. I'm just kidding. But I hadn't learned how to scream and sing and scream without losing my voice. So it was like a learning process for me, and Kyle was all about it. Kyle enjoyed our melodic stuff a lot, so he was definitely down to do things in a more melodic way. And him and I were always good at tag teaming the vocals and figuring out what sounded cool between splitting parts up. And so it was kind of the same thing as we were doing, but I was just using a different part of my voice, essentially.
And fun fact about that song, we recorded it out in like a garden.
Yeah.
We went on this little weekend trip because John, amazing guy, and he was just like, we got to get out of the studio. We got to go somewhere. And we're like, what? Okay. And he texted us. He was like, hey, meet me in this garden at 6 or 7 o'clock. And we showed up, and he has his engineer there with his laptop and some recording
cool.
stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, we're doing the vocals out here. And we'd recorded vocals in the night in the garden in some random part of California. I don't even remember where we were.
So funny. We went from recording in the middle of nowhere, Indiana,
in a
sleeping
garage
in a van, and then like a couple records later, we were surfing in the mornings, and it was a really cool experience making that record. And I think the experience that we had like during it shines through in a lot of the songs because there's a little less angst in that record than a lot of our other records, and that was one of my favorite writing experiences ever. Kyle walks into the studio and we're like, we need a heavy song to like finish this record. Whole record was done. We didn't have like a stupid heavy song, and Josh had a few ideas, and Andy everyone had some ideas, and then Kyle walks in with like this off the wall like EDM beat that he made, and he's like, this is it. And we're like, what the fuck is this?
We were in the studio and he emailed it to us, and we're like, oh, I wonder what Kyle cooked up. And it's like, and we're like, this isn't heavy.
And that was it.
Then, yeah.
But he was like, I wrote the song.
And then he's singing. He's like, we could do like this. And we're like, what the?
Yeah. So we sat in the studio with Nick, and he like mouthed the guitar parts, and we tried to put them together on actual.
He's like, we
guitar.
need to tune this all the way down to F. And so we tuned it all the way down, and we're like, Dave and I actually have a little side project called Crucible, and it's like slightly heavier than WCAR, but officially WCAR became heavier than Crucible that day.
That song.
That's how that song was kind of birthed, I guess.
I am Darkbloom.
My perspective on Darkbloom is pretty cool because these guys went to the studio like a week before I did. And I showed up and they're hyping this song up as they're picking me up from the airport. They're like, we'll show you tomorrow, but this song is awesome. And I'm like, yeah, they're just trying to get me hyped up. So I'm like down with the song. So I was kind of like taking it with a grain of salt. And then I went into the studio and they sat me down and they played the track full volume. And right after the song, I like jumped up and like put Josh in a headlock. And then like our producer isn't really the most like touchy guy, but I like started like punching him and grabbing his arm and started wrestling Andy or something. I don't remember. I just went ballistic. I was like, this song's awesome. And they were like, chill the fuck out, Dave. Don't hurt us.
We were like, we told you.
I was like,
you're
right.
Yeah, but
right.
I didn't believe you.
We wanted to like start fresh with Darkbloom, and Josh and I were listening to like a lot of Linkin Park at the time, and we were like, we want something like off the gates, like huge, and started writing with Drew. And then I was actually reading in a book like that following morning, and it actually had the phrase Darkbloom in it, and I wrote it down, and I was like, what about this? And Josh and Drew were like, that's fucking sick. And I was like, really? It's not dumb, because like 80% of the ideas I throw out don't stick. So it ended up working out, and that's probably my favorite track on the record.
Dude, explain the concept of Darkblooms. That was so cool too.
A lotus flower is the only flower that actually blooms in the night. And it actually is the only flower that doesn't need to be in the dirt. It floats above the water. Any other flower will wither or die. So even as a band, we were at a crossroads of, are we going to keep doing this as a band with, you know, a member down and losing Kyle? And we were like, for a long time we weren't sure, but then we were like, no, we want to make new music and do new things. And this was a really good first step into being like, you have the choice. You can either die or grow. You can wither away, you know, but instead we choose to move on. So that is kind of like the push there for that one.
Kyle really liked lotus flowers, and he had a lotus flower tattoo on his arm. So it was just this kind of moment we were like, this is literally the perfect title for this song. And
Yeah, the meaning behind it was awesome because, you know, through our history as a band, we're constantly trying to put anything positive like into our fans' lives to help them through whatever they're going through. And that's why we write songs, to try and get through what we're going through. And it's like, how do we still keep some essence of that at the literal darkest moments of our lives? And the concept of Darkbloom and Lotus that Andy was able to find was like, this is exactly it. The acknowledgement that, you know, we don't have all the answers. We know that we're not in a great spot, but we got to keep doing what we're doing.
I am Darkbloom. I am Darkbloom.
The deathcore version was just for fucking fun because it was awesome.
Yeah, the deathcore version was like, how do we make something cool?
Cool, yeah.
And then we were like, Brandon Sacrifice. And they're like, yeah, we can make this cool. And we were like, okay, cool. And then that was it.
Cool.
I mean, full transparency, like I would 100 times rather play a rock show going nuts on stage with a crowd and full production than like an acoustic set. So we just wanted to try something different besides an acoustic situation. Andy and I especially really, really like way heavier bands than our band, and we thought it'd be fun as hell to take a hard left turn instead of doing the acoustic thing. And yeah, really proud of it. Yeah. It's We Came as Romans. You just watched Behind the Tracks.